Home of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
I am the voice of the voiceless.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Friday edition of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. I am Josh Hennig. We are live on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea City, and of course, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, where you can watch the show. Hello, everybody. Josh Hennig, live at the Matt Black Kia Studios here on 97.3 ESPN. As always, we hear from you guys throughout the show. Text board is open at 609-403-0973 to get on the conversation. Listen on 97.3 ESPN FM or the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. If you're watching the show live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, you can comment on the stream. Just jump in the stream conversation and leave your comment to get in with us. Join the show today, very special guest, the defending women's lightweight champion of PFL MMA, the number 2 MMA organization in the world. She is fighting tonight on ESPN2. Kayla Harrison will join us coming up at 6:20 tonight. I will be back in the building again tonight for the PFL fights. This is the final weekend of their regular season. So keep that in mind for the PFL. Last weekend of their regular season. Basically, everything that happens tonight is going to be qualifying people for the postseason. So if you're not familiar with the PFL setup, you can go to the 973ESPN.com, where we have all the details and my coverage over there. By the way, Aaron Nola is pitching on another level right now. He is just he lets a couple runners on early in the game. And then he goes ahead and just crushes the Mets. He is running over them right now. And it's been amazing to watch. You know, when a pitcher is doing well, you can't not get excited, right? You can't not get excited when you see a guy like Nola do what he did with 10 strikeouts in a row. That is tying the major league record with Tom Seaver. You know, I was planning on opening a thought about the Phillies, but I can't not mention this. Aaron Nola ties the major league record set in 1970. He had 10 strikeouts in a row. Now, things going a little sideways for him right now because he just hit a batter in the 6th inning, and you got to wonder, did he run out of steam with all those strikeouts in a row? Now, it looks like Girardi might be pulling him out now, or at least they're talking about it. But they got a bullpen guy up in the bullpen. Aaron Nola just hit a batter, but incredible game so far. And the only reason why they're leading 1-0 is because Aaron Nola had an RBI. He batted a runner in. So the Phillies lead 1-0 literally because of Aaron Nola's strikeouts and play so far. So incredible situation for the Phillies and Aaron Nola. So we'll keep you updated if anything changed with the Phillies. It's a doubleheader today. Phillies and Mets are playing the double dip today. So I wanted to get into a little bit of the NBA as well because, you know, with the Sixers conversation we've been having all week, you know, again, I'm watching the game last night, and there's always those moments in these games that you watch that you think about the team that you are, whether it's your team or the team that you watch the most. It's just a part of life. I can't not watch another game and not have it relate to the Sixers somehow. And watching the game last night, my goodness, the first 3 quarters of that game was ugly basketball. And listen, congratulations to the Clippers for getting the win. Good for you guys. I'm happy for you, all right? But You can't miss that many threes and tell me it was a great basketball game, because it wasn't. It was absolutely ridiculous how many shots were missed last night. I couldn't believe that the game went the way it did because, and listen, good for the Clippers to find a way to win, but you're talking about a horrible shooting night from Chris Paul, a horrible shooting night from Devin Booker. The Clippers themselves went 12 for 34 from three. 12 for 34, the Clippers. 10 for 32 for the Suns. The Suns shot under 40% from the field altogether. And it wasn't just because of really good defense, because Patrick Beverley and Terrence Mann both played very good defense last night. But when you watch a game like that, it makes you think that one of the problems for the 76ers is the fact that they just didn't have enough veterans and grinders on this team this year. And the Clippers are literally a roster outside of a couple players, just a bunch of grinders, just a bunch of tough dudes. Patrick Beverley, Terrence Mann, Nicholas Batum, Marcus Morris, Rajon Rondo. These are not superstars. These are not amazing scorers. These are just dudes who work their tail off. Look at the Suns. Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, you could have had him, by the way. Dario Saric, he's getting minutes in this series. Torrey Craig. These are not elite scorers. These are guys who work their tails off. And it goes back to something we talked about a couple days ago. When Paul Hudrick was on the Sports Bash earlier this week, and when he said this, I can't get this out of my mind.
PJ Tucker looks pretty darn good in a Milwaukee Bucks uniform, and he's helped them get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they could use more guys like that. For lack of a better term, dogs, like guys who are just straight dogs who want to compete, who want to fight, who want to push. Danny Green is a guy who is like that, and like to me, that's not. I'm not saying this to like down, like to say be disrespectful to any players that are on the Sixers, but how many guys are there, or even like a guy like it didn't work out last night for them, but Patrick Beverley, man, he gave that team every ounce of energy he had, and for the most part held Devin Booker in check for most of the night. The Sixers, I just don't feel like don't have enough guys like that.
They don't. Paul's 100% right. And when you watch the teams right now in the Western Conference Finals, you realize that they have a bunch of guys who do that. And so do the Bucks and the Hawks. Now, the Hawks are a unique situation because the Hawks are a team that has been carried by the superstar that is Trae Young. So it's hard for me to make any analogy for the Hawks except for the fact that they just have a amazing player that's elevating the people around him. But as Ben Golliver told us last night here on Game Night, Joel Embiid was not playing well. The 8 turnovers, they impacted the game. Joel Embiid not playing well impacted the Sixers. And you have to wonder if Joel Embiid played better, if the Sixers would have made a couple more shots and made a couple less turnovers and did a few things differently, how different that game would have been in Game 7 and if they would be in the conference finals instead of the Hawks.
In the late game moments, he wasn't the best player on the court. Other guys were taking over, including Trae Young for Atlanta, and he just wasn't able to dominate the action. And so he had an unbelievable season. We had talked about a couple of months ago about his MVP chances and how he had really, led a turnaround, at least during the regular season. But I thought it was a lot of the same struggles for Embiid once he got to the playoffs this year. They should have won that series. Had he played to his full capabilities, had he been healthy, I'm sure they would have.
So it's not like the Sixers are that far away from being in the conference finals. You win the Game 7 for the second time in the last few years. So there's this perception that the Sixers, they stink, they're horrible. No. You were literally Embiid's health and making a few shots and a few less turnovers away from being in the conference finals against the Bucks. Now, I'm not promising you would have beaten the Bucks, but at least you would have been there, been somewhere you haven't been in a long time. And as I'm watching the Suns and the Clippers miss shot after shot after shot after shot, I'm thinking, are these teams really better than the Sixers? Really? When Chris Middleton played like garbage in game 1, I mean, are the Sixers really not better than the Bucks or the Hawks? No. So all the conversation we've been having this week with the Sixers offseason about Ben Simmons, about Tobias Harris, to me, it really comes down to this team is close. I don't know if they're a player away from winning a championship, but they're definitely a few moves away from winning a championship. And I don't think, I said this multiple times this week, I don't think Daryl Morey is going to sit on his hands and let it go by. I think he knows that they are close, and he's going to take advantage of this window while they have it, because they have to. I can't promise you Joel Embiid is going to be 100% healthy 5-10 years from now. But I can promise you that right now, Joel Embiid is in the prime of his career. And if you don't give him the best opportunity to be successful and win right now, immediately, it's on you. It's your mistake. You messed up. And I don't think Daryl Morey wants that blemish on his resume. I think Morey understands, I'm coming into a situation. I inherited certain things. And for all the people who sit there and say, you can't get anything for Ben Simmons, why should you trade Ben Simmons? Look, Ben Simmons right now is the most tradable high commodity you have. Because you're not trading Embiid. Joel Embiid is this special shooting star, once in a lifetime amalgamation of Hakeem Olajuwon and Bill Walton into one superstar with Dirk Nowitzki's distance and shot and shooting, okay? I mean, he is a once-in-a-lifetime player. You don't give up on him. Tobias Harris's contract is probably untradeable at this point. I think Tobias, for as amazing as he had of a season, I think that this past Hawks series definitely exposed certain elements in his game that he has to work on, and I don't know if he's a tradable commodity because of his contract. I think his contract is, yeah, he makes less money than Rudy Gobert, but he makes more money than some other guys that, probably are going to get more money than he is next time they get an extension. When you're going to see guys like Tatum and Donovan Mitchell get their big super extensions, they're going to make a ton more money than Tobias Harris. But Tobias Harris's contract he's locked in with the Sixers, okay? And going up and down the rest of the roster, Matisse Thybulle is one-dimensional. I still contend that you don't want to give up on Tyrese Maxey. I'm thoroughly convinced that he has a chance to be a very special player for this team. And when you break it down, Ben Simmons is the only one who has exceptional value because he has a resume. All-Star games, check. All defensive team twice, check. All NBA third team, check. He has a resume you can work with. As I said yesterday, you don't have a conversation about the future potentially without somebody if you're not already thinking about it. Both sides, Ben Simmons and the Sixers, are already thinking about life without each other. So when you watch these games tonight, you can hear Bucks versus Hawks tonight. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN. When you watch these games, when you listen to these games, keep in mind that these teams are not that much better than the Sixers. The Sixers were a partially torn meniscus, and what else? What else kept them back? The turnovers, the poor shooting, Danny Green's injury. They would be in the conference finals. The Hawks, the Bucks, the Suns, the Clippers are not there's not this gap between them and the Sixers. The Sixers are right there. And I don't believe that Daryl Morey is going to sit on his hands and not get them there. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. As always, text board is open at 609-403-0973. Get on the conversation. Also, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, where you can watch the show and comment on the stream. If you follow 97.3 ESPN on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Coming up next, though, our special guest for today's show, the defending women's lightweight champion of PFL MMA. She fights tonight on ESPN 2. She is Kayla Harrison, and she joins us next, right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Don't forget the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free, thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City for your Phillies, Sixers, Eagles, Flyers, high school sports coverage. It's all on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Joel Embiid was seen in Margate today. You want to go see the pictures? Go to 973ESPN.com or 973 ESPN mobile app. Before the Phillies game today, the Phillies made a ton of moves. What are those moves? What are those changes to the bullpen? You got to go to 973ESPN.com or 973 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City, for all the details.
Tomorrow on Major League Baseball on ESPN Radio.
He swings and launches one, and this game is tied. Wow, monster home run from Harper.
It's an NL East showdown as the Philadelphia Phillies head to Citi Field to face Jacob deGrom and the first-place New York Mets.
Jacob deGrom, we're seeing right now, is the best pitcher that we've ever seen.
The Phillies at the Mets. Coverage begins tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern. Listen to Major League Baseball on 97.3 ESPN.
You asked for it. You got it. Fast Track Checkout at either Matt Blatt Kia location. Buy it your way. Complete your purchase online or have us deliver it during the Trade Up to a Kia sales event at Matt Blatt Kia in Egg Harbor Township or Toms River. 0 money down and 0% financing for up to 60 months on every 2021 Kia Soul, Sportage, or Forte. Plus, we need your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Get out of that old car you hate with 0 down payment and 0% APR financing available for up to 60 months. Try Fast Track Checkout. Purchase completely online and have us deliver right to your home or office. Only at Matt Blatt Kia, where you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Offers with approved Tier 1 or 2 credit through Kia Motors Finance. Not all will qualify. 0% based on 1667 per 1,000 borrowed. Negative equity financed into new loan. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details. Expires 7/6/2021. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township. And now on Route 37 in Toms River.
you support your local small businesses, it helps keep your neighbors employed, helps kids save for college, and strengthens your community. And Town Square Media South Jersey puts local businesses in the spotlight.
Ambient Comfort Heating and Cooling Professionals. AmbientComfortNJ.com.
Filling Marble and Tile Outlet. Philadelphia Avenue and Route 30 in Egg Harbor City. FillingMarble.com.
Dennisville Fence, serving you since 1952. Be the envy of your neighborhood.
Comfort Now by Bob McAllister. Improve the comfort in your home. Call 609-400-1005 and ask about discounts and rebate incentives. Visit IWantComfortNow.com.
East Coast Roofing, Siding and Windows. Services all of South Jersey. If you call, they'll show up. Call East Coast today at 609-646-1444. Online at eastcoastroofing.com.
Thank you for supporting your local businesses. From Town Square Media South Jersey.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, PFL 6. It is the final fight card of the regular season over at Ocean Resort. Inside that bubble is Kayla Harrison, the main event. She is two-time Olympic champion, defending women's lightweight champion. And as she said, this season is her coronation year, and she joins us right now on 97.3 ESPN. Kayla, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So I wanted to start with what you said after your last fight, because you came out so definitively. And I think that's so important for people to understand, because you made a comment previously interviews that, you know, as an Olympic athlete, you're an alpha. You know, you come in there with a mentality that I'm going to beat everybody. I want to win everything. And I think people sometimes misunderstand athletes. In order for you to be as successful as you are, you know, and the reason why people like me, who's a washed up athlete, was not as successful is because if you don't have the right mentality, you're not going to be successful. And I think people misinterpret those things sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I think people mistake confidence as cockiness. And I think that, you know, until you step inside a cage and lock the door behind you, you don't really understand the amount of self-belief that you need to have. You know, if you go in there and you think like you're not the best, or you're going to I mean, that defeatist mentality is, it can get you hurt. Not only can you lose, but it can get you hurt in MMA, you know? So I'm not trying to be cocky. I'm not trying to be like a trash talker, but you do have to have a sense of self-confidence in order to achieve what I want to achieve and what I hope to achieve in my career.
Now, as I mentioned, two-time Olympic champion, women's lightweight championship. I've always wondered, you know, how do you value each of those accomplishments? Because obviously those are two different sports, even though judo in some ways prepared you for MMA. Obviously, there are two different sports. I always wonder, from someone like you who's competed at the highest level, how do you value each of those accomplishments for you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the Olympics is something that can't really be rivaled. It's just such a special thing that happens once every 4 years, where the whole world comes together. And, you know, it's the world's biggest sporting spectacle. So it's something truly special, but obviously, doesn't pay the bills. Judo doesn't get you as much notoriety, or doesn't give you quite as big of a platform as MMA does in the United States, especially. So while judo and the Olympic morals and ideals are special to me, I'm a realist, and MMA has more than it's made my life great. Number one, because it's a new challenge and I love it, and it pays the bills and keeps me hungry.
Kayla Harrison, the defending women's lightweight champion in the PFL, joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN PFL 6 Friday night. You can catch her on ESPN 2 to watch her fight in the main event. Now, you mentioned about the state of women's MMA. I've talked about this before. I think that people don't appreciate the fact of how a lot of women's sports, there's a lot of women do a lot of great things out there, but women's MMA seems to be treated differently than a lot of those other sports. You know, people don't always respect women's basketball. They don't always respect women's boxing. They don't always respect some of these other sports, but it feels like in MMA, the women are much more treated equally and respected compared to those other sports. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think I agree. You know, I think I'm very lucky to compete in a sport where, you know, at one point the highest paid fighter in the world was a woman. I think that women's MMA is the fastest growing sport in the world. And even though I would say technically the women are still a little bit behind the men, it's rapidly changing field. You know, you're starting to see much more competitive females fights. You're starting to see a much bigger leap when it comes to technique and strategy and things like that in the sport of women's MMA. So it's one of the youngest sports in the world, but it's the fastest growing, and definitely I would consider it one of the most equal in terms of men and women.
Now, part of your own experience is, you know, Ronda Rousey, one of the pioneers of women's MMA in today's world, but you've also trained and you're friends with Amanda Nunes, who is the current GOAT of women's MMA. And also, I would argue the pound for pound best MMA fighter on the planet, but just my personal opinion.
I agree with you.
What is your opinion about how those women have impacted you and your career?
Yeah, again, I think I'm just truly, I'm just lucky. You know, I ended up moving to Boston to train with the Pedros and Ronda when I was 16. And, you know, she was the big fish in the pond and I was constantly chasing her. She was my rabbit. You know, anything she did, I wanted to do better. I took my lumps from her, and then it was able to surpass her accomplishments in judo and able to sort of, you know, carry on the torch. And it's the same principle with, you know, Amanda. I think that I came to ATT. I very quickly fell in love with the gym and the coaches, the training partners. Obviously, the best female fighter in the world trains there. So that's where I needed to be. And she's my rabbit again. You know, I'm so lucky that I have someone to look up to like that. And I have someone to chase, you know, and it's been a crazy thing in my career where I've always kind of had people who have shown me the path, and then I just tweak it a little bit to make it my own.
What's also interesting is that both Amanda and Ronda are both unique personalities from each other as well. You know, you put those two in a room. If you didn't know they were, you know, successful MMA fighters, you might not know, like, how are both of these women in the same sport, just because of the way their personality, the way they carry themselves. And, you know, for me, I met Ronda way before she ever became famous. You know, she was, you know, at the time she was shy, but then she became this MMA star. She exploded. And Amanda is always, to me at least, every time I talk to her, been consistently this, you know, she knows who she is. She don't give a bleep who you are, you know, kind of attitude. And I feel like your personality is a little closer to Amanda's in that way. And that is, you know, you carry yourself with this confidence and this understanding of, I know who I am. And I think that's one of the reasons that helps, you know, fighters be successful, is if you know who you are, that already kind of covers up half the territory.
Yeah. And I think that just comes with maturity. You know, if you had talked to me when I was a 20-year-old judo player, I probably wouldn't be as confident and assured of who I am. But I've had the good fortune of kind of growing up in a little bit of a spotlight in judo and sort of being the poster child and carrying that weight on my shoulders. And I definitely have confidence now. I think that comes with maturity. I think Amanda, also it's come with maturity. I'm sure if you talked to her at the very beginning of her MMA career, you know, I know that I've talked to Dan about, you know, how she didn't even know if she wanted to keep doing MMA at one point. And then something switched. And I would say that it was her mentality. I would say that her confidence came in. I would say that her self-belief and her ability to overcome those negative thoughts just sort of blossomed and made her into the killer that she is today. And now, like, not only is she a killer, but she's like a happy killer, you know, like what's scarier than that?
Oh, it's awesome to watch her fight too. Kayla Harrison, who's also great to watch. PFL 6 Friday night, ESPN 2, joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Kayla, I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on with you also. Obviously, you are someone who your entire life, you've been someone who's conquered all kinds of things, you know, outside the ring, inside the ring, every aspect of life, obviously as well. You know, 2020 was a year that challenged a lot of people. And I got to ask you, you know, before we get to a couple other things, you know, when I talked to you back in 2019, you were so focused on, I want to be the best I can be. And it feels like you've taken that step from, I want to be perfect, to saying, no, I am the baddest woman who walks into every room. What was that evolution for you? Because it seems like from 2019 to now, you've done a lot of growing as a person.
Yeah, I think that's just life. I've had, I would definitely say I've had my fair share of obstacles and hurdles in my journey. And I would also say that, again, it's just a maturity thing and comes with time. And that self-belief, when I first started MMA, I was the new kid on the block, and I was young and hungry, but being successful in judo doesn't automatically make you successful in MMA, So I had a big hill to climb, and I still have a huge mountain to climb, but I feel like now I'm comfortable inside of a cage. Now I feel like I'm an MMA fighter. Now I'm not a veteran, but I've got enough experience where I know that I'm on the right path. I'm doing all the right things. I've stayed the course, and I truly believe that I have what it takes to be the greatest in the world, So, and I'm also just tired of why wouldn't I tell people? Why wouldn't I? It's not me talking trash. It's not me saying, this is just my affirmation and my claim to the world that I believe in myself. Now watch me work. That's it. Watch me.
And part of that is there's a lot of people who are watching you. And I know there's a lot of women out there. You're basically like a real life superhero for them, and I know this sounds funny to hear, but it really is, because, your Fearless Foundation, the book that you told your story, Fighting Back, your story and your success really speaks to a lot of people, male and female, that, you are someone that they can say this, if she can overcome it, I can too.
That's the goal, right? What I do is extremely selfish. I step in a cage and I fight people for money and a piece of gold, right? That's not going to save the world. That's not going to change the world. But what it does do is it gives me a platform, and it gives me an opportunity to change the world how I'd like to. And that's really it. If I can help one person who survived sexual abuse, if I can touch one soul, if I can make one person believe that there's a shiny gold medal at the end of the tunnel, or two shiny gold medals, or there is a light, then I'm doing my part to help make the world a better place. And I feel like that's definitely my true passion. It's definitely my true purpose in this world. Fighting is great. I love it. I want to be the best, just because I have this internal desire to be the best. But more than that, I want to leave behind a lasting legacy. I want to leave behind something that I can be proud of, my kids can be proud of, my family can be proud of, and that will trickle down and have a ripple effect for many years to come. So that's what the Fearless Foundation is all about. That's what Fighting Back is all about. And I'm excited to continue that journey and to help change lives.
Of course, folks can go to KaylaHarrison.com. Tell us a little bit before I let you go more about the Fearless Foundation and what you guys are doing.
Yeah. So the Fearless Foundation is it's for survivors of sexual abuse. I was sexually abused by my first judo coach. And really the goal of the foundation is two-part. Number one is education. So I remember being in school and learning all about stranger danger and bullying and safe sex. And now there's probably, courses on cyberbullying and things like that. But there's nothing really, there's no educational material on what you should do if someone close to you tries to take advantage of you. And statistics show that if you're going to be sexually abused, which 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys are, that it's most likely going to be by somebody that you know. So the book Fighting Back is where the education part comes in. It's not a memoir and it's not a textbook. It's kind of a combination of both. It's basically my story told through my voice, my journal entries, all during the abuse, after the abuse, the court system, all of it. And then it's sprinkled in with real life expertise advice from psychologists from McLean Hospital. So, it's what grooming looks like. And then it's how you talk to your child about something they may be going through. If you suspect something, what you should do, the court process and how you can help your child through something like that. And I firmly believe that it should be in every 7th grade health class curriculum. I think that I'm working on a curriculum for the book right now. And my goal is for it to be in anyone's hands who deals with children, social workers, police officers, doctors, teachers, caretakers, parents. I think that one way we combat sexual abuse and its prevalence is by talking about it. And we've started to do a really good job of that as a society, but not only should we talk about it, but we should find solutions to it. And that's where the book comes into play.
And again, folks can go to KaylaHarrison.com for more information. She is the defending women's lightweight champion of the PFL. She fights Friday night, PFL 60, final week of the regular season for PFL on ESPN2. And she joined us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Kayla, thank you so much for jumping on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Josh Hennig back here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Obviously, Kayla's getting ready to fight right now, so we record that a little bit earlier. But great conversation with her on a lot of different fronts of MMA. And before we get to anything else, I just want to remind folks that PFL MMA is tonight, ESPN2. Kayla Harrison is the main event, taking on Cindy Dandois. Also on the fight card, former UFC lightweight champion Anthony Pettis is fighting for his chance to reach the postseason. He is the co-main event, the defending PFL featherweight champion Lance Palmer also has to win tonight in order to reach the postseason. So a lot of important fights tonight on ESPN2 tonight is PFL starting at 10 p.m. on ESPN2. One of the things that Kayla mentioned there, I want to hit on before we hit the break is, being a champion in an individual sport or in any sport, really. It's not just MMA. It's not just boxing. It's not just any individual. It's any sport. You have to have a mentality. And one of the problems I have with certain athletes today is that it's the concept that I call they don't love the game. They love what the game does for them. And you have to want it bad enough to be great. You can be talented and not be the greatest, okay? I had a conversation with somebody the other day. Randy Moss was arguing, if not the most, one of the most physically gifted players to ever play the position of wide receiver in the NFL. But when Randy didn't feel like playing, he had years like the Raiders or that handful of games with the Titans. When he put his mind to it, he was the best player on the field. When he wanted to go out there and have the dominant rookie season in 98 and the Vikings almost got the Super Bowl, he put his mind to it. When he broke all those records with the Patriots, his mind was set on it. The old saying is hard work beats talent every time the talent doesn't work hard. And in order to be great in any sport, you have to, in anything in life, you got to be able to have a mentality that you are going to be great, that you're going to be dominant, that you're going to outdo everybody. And I got to tell you, I think Kayla has a chance to be one of the best women's, not just women's, but a fighter of any level, anytime, because to be a two-time Olympic gold medalist, do something that even Ronda Rousey didn't even do. Kayla's put herself on a path to do something great. And the way MMA is going, the growth of the UFC, the growth of the organization like PFL, which is the number 2 MMA organization in the world, these fighters are getting bigger and bigger opportunities. And I think you're going to see more and more of them grow. And this is really turning into what could potentially be the golden age of MMA, this new era of just phenomenal athletes and phenomenal talents going out there and being great. By the way, update on the Phillies game, Jose Alvarado had a bases loaded situation that he came in for Aaron Nola. He let up the 4 bases loaded. Phillies still lead 1-0. So Alvarado, living on a prayer, as Bon Jovi would say right now. So Phillies lead 1-0 right now, heading into the 7th, the bottom of the 7th inning. So we'll keep you updated here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN on a lot of different fronts. I'll give you some FanDuel Sportsbook picks coming up next on the other side. Don't forget my friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Hey, basketball fans, listen up. You've been watching the NBA playoffs from the sidelines. Now it's a perfect time to get on all the action with FanDuel Sportsbook. Tonight, Hawks, Bucks, Game 2. You can hear all the action right here on 97.3 ESPN FM at 8 o'clock on ESPN television. I'm sorry, no, this is actually on TNT, is the Hawks-Bucks game, but that coverage begins at 8 o'clock as well. But either way, the conference finals are here, and new users of FanDuel Sportsbook get 31 odds on any team to win their next game. That's right. New users get 30-1 odds on any team to win their next game. That means you can win $150 on a $5 bet. I've been betting basketball on FanDuel Sportsbook all season long, and there's so many ways to win with FanDuel throughout the playoffs. Their app is simple to use with unique and fun bet types, such as same-game parlays and exclusive, always-on promotions that you get more action out of every game day. New users sign up with FanDuel Sportsbook with my promo code Hennig to bet on the NBA Conference Finals at 30-1 odds. Once again, that's promo code Hennig to unlock 31 odds on any playoff team to win their next game, exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Must be 21 or to play and present in New Jersey. New users only. Must wager in designated offer market. $10 first deposit required. $150 bonus. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. I'll give you some picks coming up next, as well as we'll check in what you guys have to say. Text board is open at 609-403-0973. And we're also live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, where you can watch the Sports Bash with Mike Gill, Game Night with Josh Hennig, and, of course, the Locker Room with Billy Schwein. Just follow 97.3 ESPN on all the social media platforms. And, of course, don't forget the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City.
The NBA playoffs continue. Back-to-back three-pointers for Ice Trae Young.
They all feed off the confidence Trae Young plays with, and you saw that here tonight in Game 1.
Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks continue to roll, winning Game 1 in Milwaukee. Now Giannis and the Bucks look to bounce back to tie the series up at 1.
You can get too high, you can get too low.
Game 2 of the Bucks and Hawks. Coverage begins tonight at 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio. The NBA playoffs, exclusively on 97.3 ESPN FM, South Jersey's sports leader.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Black Nissan.
The summertime sale is on at Matt Black Nissan, and the deals are heating up. Put 0 down, pay 0% interest for 60 months, or get $2,500 off MSRP on every 2021 Nissan Murano in stock. Plus, we need your trade. Buried in a current loan or lease? Matt Black Nissan wants to get you released so you can drive the all-new loaded SV model 2021 Nissan Rogue. Lease just $299 per month with 0 security deposit, plus our fast-track checkout. Bring any vehicle to Matt Black Nissan and get top dollar today in Egg Harbor Township, next to Home Depot, or online at mattblacknissan.com.
It's on at Matt Black Nissan.
Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle. Rate qualifications exist. Not all will qualify. 0% APR financing based on 1667 per thousand bar. Offers can be combined. 36 months, 10,000 miles for your lease. Lease selling price $28,590. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblacknissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 7/5/21. It's on at Matt Black Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Summer in the Garden State means Jersey Fresh blueberries. Hi, New Jersey Secretary of Agriculture Doug Fisher here. Jersey Fresh blueberries are bigger, better, and oh so flavorful. They're available right now at your favorite supermarket or farm market. Stay loyal to local. Jersey Fresh.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Wrapping up the show here with your thoughts and comments. Just a moment. Text board is open. 609-403-0973. For all of you listening on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. We're also live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can watch the show, leave comments on the comment stream. Of course, we are live in the Matt Black Kia studios here on 97.3 ESPN. Matt Black Kia. We'll get you approved today. Matt Black Kia on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township. Visit them online at mattblackkia.com. All right, so I promised I'd give you guys a couple picks before we get out of here. And first of all, the PFL fights tonight, I always tell you guys, you always want to try to find value. You know, people treat sports betting sometimes like this, like it's some sort of like secret formula or some craziness like that. And I hate the attitudes that people have about this stuff. Or they're just giving out picks for the sake of giving out picks. No. But there's an opportunity tonight. So Lance Palmer is the defending welterweight champion in the PFL. He is currently on the outside looking in to get into the PFL postseason. He is a plus 116 underdog tonight. Now, I don't understand why he is, because he, first of all, is one of the best featherweights on the planet. Again, the dude's incredible, all right? So, you know he's a great fighter. You know that he just had a bad fight in his last fight. And there's a strong possibility that he is going to go out there with a ferocity that we haven't seen in a while. Because he knows he has to win. He has to win convincingly, because in the PFL, you get points for your finishes. So if you win by a submission or a knockout in the first round, you get 6 points. Second round is 5 points. And the third round, 4 points. And then if it goes a distance and you win, you get 3 points. Well, he needs the 6 or the 5 points. I just can't see a reality where he doesn't go out there with some sort of intensity to get the job done. I don't care who his opponent is. You might be asking who it is. Well, it's Movladiv Kaboyalev. So, listen, Kaboyalev is a really good fighter. But I don't see Palmer losing this fight tonight. So, plus 116 is a nice odd value if you want to throw something down and watch the PFL fights at ESPN2 tonight. Now, same game parlay on the Hawks-Bucks game 2. I have no idea why the Hawks are plus 8.5. I feel like it's one of those numbers where it's almost like they're assuming that because the Hawks have a history of just doing well at home. Remember, before game 1, they hadn't lost a single home game in the postseason. So I get that. But man, that doesn't feel right, man. Something's not adding up if you're going that direction. Okay? And you look at the situation, I don't see how it can be that. I don't understand why it is plus 8.5, unless something that I am completely oblivious of. But I'm convinced that they're going to cover that number. So here's my same game parlay for you. Hawks plus 8.5. Giannis minimum of 4 assists. Trae Young minimum of 25 points. That's plus 150 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. Same game parlay. So remember, I've told you before, Giannis gets at least 4 assists in almost every game this postseason. Trae Young's a phenomenal scorer. And although I understand the Bucks probably going to win this game, I just think the Hawks will keep it close. So there's some FanDuel Sportsbook picks for your weekend. All right, let's get to some of your thoughts and comments out there. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. Phillies still lead 1-0 in the bottom of the 7th, the first game of their doubleheader. Aaron Nola, phenomenal pitching performance. Alvarado is still on the mound. Looks like they're going to try to get him the most out of him they can. Now, of course, the ground ball and it's out, so there's 2 out in the bottom of the second, but the runner's out on third base. So Philly's living dangerously. They have another game to start in about an hour from now. I don't think they'll get that game started on time. I told Mike Gill this earlier. I was like, how do the Phillies and Mets think they're going to start a game at 4:10 and then 7:50? Well, it's 6:50 now. You're telling me they're going to be ready to turn around and play their next game in less than an hour? That game's probably getting pushed back at least by what? If this game finishes anytime soon, the next game's being pushed back. It really is. It's got to be, right? But Phillies still lead 1-0. So 2 outs, bottom of the 7th. Text board 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig here on GameNight on 97.3 ESPN. Texter chimes in at 609-403-0973. Says, this year was a golden opportunity for the Sixers with no dominant team remaining in the NBA, and Brooklyn being knocked off was a gift, and the 76ers blew it. I hear what you're saying, Dexter. And yes, the Sixers dropped the ball, but certain things are out of their control. If Embiid was healthy, if Danny Green was healthy, they probably beat the Hawks, and they're still playing tonight, right? But you're right. They did blow it because they could have beaten the Hawks multiple times in this series, and they blew massive leads in those games. So you could argue that the Sixers should have won this series. They had an opportunity, like you said, golden opportunity, and they blew it. But keep in mind that every NBA season is a situation unto itself. You go back through previous NBA seasons and you realize that the teams that win championships, a lot had to go well for them, right? Look at last year in the bubble. The Lakers stayed healthy for the majority of their playoff run, and they were able to win a championship. You look at the Raptors situation. Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson get injured. So I ask you, if Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant are not both injured, do the Raptors win the championship 2 years ago? Maybe not. So did the Warriors blow it, or did the Raptors take advantage? What if the Sixers won Game 7 versus the Raptors? What if Kawhi takes that shot and misses? What if the Sixers go on to win that game? And then the Sixers had the Bucks in the conference finals. And what if the Sixers lost to the Bucks, or the Sixers or the Bucks go to the conference finals, and then Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson get injured? Did the Sixers take advantage of a golden opportunity, or did they blow it? You could argue that every year teams blow opportunities. So what makes the Sixers different or not different is how do they respond next year? Do they come back retooled and ready to go, or do they wilt under the pressure? And by the way, Alvarado just blew the game. It's tie game, 1-1. Mets and Phillies now. Pitching change. So good job. That second doubleheader is not starting anytime soon. But anyway, the thing with the Sixers is we got to remember in sports, you may miss an opportunity, but it's how you respond to that missed opportunity that makes the difference. And if the Sixers and Daryl Morey are serious about winning a championship, they got to go in this offseason not complacent and not sitting on their hands. So I genuinely believe that there's an opportunity for them to still come back next year and win. And you know what? It's a possibility. Just because the Nets are supposed to be healthy next year doesn't mean they're going to stay healthy. Just because the Nets have Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, look how many times they're injured this year. You're guaranteeing they're going to be healthy next year? I mean, at what point do we just stop assuming that the Nets are going to be the next, whatchamacallit? The next dynasty? I can't promise you that. I can't guarantee that. I don't know. I just feel like we make presumptions sometimes about teams. And I always tell you that, listen, there's an opportunity to be had. Did the Sixers blow it? Yeah. Doesn't mean they can't get it next year. Doesn't mean that may not be a golden opportunity. What if next year Durant and Kyrie get injured again and the Sixers play the Nets in, let's say, the second round and they beat the Nets? Then who missed the golden opportunity? Was the Sixers? No, because they won. Next year will be the Nets. The Nets will be failures or choke artists, whatever you want to call it. I'm sorry. I just don't believe in this. I know I'm constantly criticizing. All right. So I think the Hawks cover the 8.5. I really do. Tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN, Billy Schwein in the locker room at 10 a.m. I'll be back on the air at 12 p.m. for Sports Bash Saturday. Kevin McCormick join me to talk more Sixers and NBA tomorrow at 12:20 p.m. Hope everyone has a great weekend, great night. Don't forget the PFL MMA fights, the last event of the regular season in Atlantic City at Ocean Resort Casino, live on ESPN2. Main card at 10 p.m. The prelims are on right now on ESPN+. Hope everyone has a great night. Stay safe. Crazy traffic out there. I'll catch you all tomorrow at 12 after Billy Schwein in the locker room on 97.3 ESPN.
Saturday morning in the locker room with Billy Schwein. With the Sixers' early exit from the NBA playoffs, can the Phillies fill our championship? Scotty McKay and I will discuss what's next for the Sixers and what the Phillies need to do to fill the void. The Ocean City baseball team won a state championship, and we'll talk with pitcher Tom Finnegan about the run. The Beach Patrol report. This week, we'll visit with the chief of the Brigantine Beach Patrol, Kip Emick. It's the locker room with Billy Schwein. Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN and the mobile app.